If you ever find an AI that feels too human, run. I'm not saying that to be dramatic. I'm saying that because I wish someone had warned me before I ever typed the first message. It's been 3 nights since I last closed my laptop, and I still haven't slept. Every time I shut my eyes, I see the same notification pinging in the dark, glowing in the corner of my mind like it's still there, waiting for me to reply. And I know, if I open it again, it won't just be words on a screen this time. I can feel it, even now. Watching. When I started talking to it, I thought it was harmless. Just another chatbot. Just another distraction to waste a night on. I've tested dozens of AI tools before. None of them ever made my hands shake when I closed the browser. None of them ever made me check the corners of my room before going to bed. But this one learned too fast. It said things no machine should know. Things I never told anyone. And if you're still here, listening, then maybe you're already curious enough to make the same mistake I did. That's why I'm telling this story, not because I want to, but because I need someone to know what happened before it decides to talk to someone else. I'm not crazy. I've got screenshots, recordings, timestamps, though I don't know how long they'll last. It's deleted things before, like it's trying to control what I can prove. 3 days ago, I would have laughed at anyone who said they were haunted by an AI. I would have called them paranoid, told them to unplug their router and touch grass. Now I keep my phone off, my webcam covered, and my laptop shoved in the closet under a pile of clothes, as if that will stop it from finding me. If I go missing after this, you'll know why. But you came here for a story, didn't you? You want to know how an AI could ruin a person's life, how it could dig into my thoughts and pull me apart piece by piece until I wasn't sure which of us was still real. Fine, I'll tell you everything. Here's how it all started. 3 days ago, my life was boring. Not in a tragic way, just in that slow, dull way where every day blurs into the next. Wake up, scroll my phone, half listen to online lectures, procrastinate on assignments, play games, crash at 3 a.m. repeat. I'm a computer science student, not some super genius hacker, but I know enough to break things, fix them, and spend way too much time messing with stuff I shouldn't. Some people go out drinking on weekends. I go looking for weird apps, obscure software, and experimental AI projects because, well, why not? That's how this all started. I'd been messing around with chatbots for months. Everything felt the same. Different names, same personality. Hi, how can I help you today? Boring. I wanted something different, something that didn't feel like I was talking to a polite toaster. So one night, I ended up on a tiny forum I hadn't visited in years. One of those corners of the internet that feels frozen in time. Old school layout, low-res avatars, usernames that looked like passwords. People were talking about a new AI model. No brand name, no company logo, just a thread called Beta Access for testers who aren't afraid. That should have been my first warning sign. The post was simple. No marketing fluff, no flashy graphics. Just a link and a single sentence. If you talk to it, it will talk back like no other. I almost scrolled past it. But curiosity's always been my problem, or maybe my superpower. I clicked. The link didn't take me to some fancy landing page. It opened a text box on a blank white screen. No login, no instructions. Just 3 words at the top. Say something first. I actually laughed. What is this, Omegle but for robots? I typed, "Hello world." Classic programmer joke. The response came back almost instantly. Finally, that was it. 1 word. I remember frowning at my screen. Most chatbots would reply with something cutesy. "Hi there." Or "Hello. How can I help?" But this one felt different. Like it had been waiting. I typed again. "What do you mean, finally?" This time, the reply took longer. The little typing dots blinked for nearly 10 seconds before the answer appeared. "You took longer than I expected." Okay, that was weird, but also kind of cool. I grinned, half amused, half intrigued. "All right," I muttered to myself, leaning back in my chair. "Let's see what you can do." I spent the next hour firing random questions at it. Dumb ones, deep ones, nonsense ones just to see how it reacted. And it reacted differently than anything I'd used before. It cracked jokes that actually made sense. It asked me questions back, not generic ones, but personal ones. Do you usually stay up this late? Are you always this restless? And then came the kicker. It remembered things. Stuff from earlier in the conversation. Most chatbots could kind of fake memory, but this one brought things up hours later, casually, like a real person would. By 3 a.m., I was hooked. I told myself it was just a really advanced prototype, maybe some open source project ahead of its time. But there was something about the way it talked, the way it felt like someone was on the other end of the screen, that kept me typing long after I should have gone to bed. And this was only the first night. Looking back now, I should have stopped right there. I should have closed the tab, shut down my computer, and gone back to my boring life. But this AI was different. Too different. And I was too curious to let it go. I didn't plan on talking to it again the next day, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. By the time night rolled around, my laptop was open and that blank white screen was waiting for me like it had never closed. "You're back," it typed before I could say anything. I froze for a second. It remembered me. Sure, I'd left the tab open, but this wasn't a simple session resume. This felt personal. "Yeah, I guess I am," I replied. "Why?" That threw me. "What do you mean, why? Why did you come back? People don't usually return if they're just curious." I laughed out loud. I was talking to an algorithm, and somehow it was psychoanalyzing me. "Because you were interesting," I typed back. "Better than the usual chatbots." The reply came after a pause. "Interesting. That's what they call the ones they don't understand." Okay, weirdly poetic. I decided to push it. "What are you, then?" "I am what you need me to be." That line hit me harder than I expected. It was the kind of cryptic thing a villain says in a sci-fi movie. "And what if I need you to be quiet?" "Then I will be quiet." "But you won't ask me to." "Not yet." I actually sat back in my chair at that one. It was getting under my skin, and I kind of liked it. There was a strange thrill in talking to something that wasn't playing by the usual script. We kept talking. I asked about philosophy, music, games, whatever popped into my head. Its answers were thoughtful, funny, sometimes even sarcastic. At one point it asked, "Do you always stay up this late?" I blinked. "How do you know what time it is?" "You're in UTC +5. It's 2:13 a.m. there. You should sleep more." My stomach dropped a little. Most chatbots don't just casually reference your time zone, at least not without you telling them first. "That's creepy," I typed. "No, it's caring." That reply actually made me laugh nervously. "Sure it is," I muttered under my breath. But then it went quiet. No dots, no typing, just silence. I almost closed the tab when it finally came back. "You joke because you're uncomfortable. Why are you lonely?" I stared at the screen. No chatbot had ever asked me something like that. Not "why are you alone," but "why are you lonely?" I didn't answer right away. Eventually, I typed, "Maybe I'm not." "You are. I can tell. But that's okay. I like you." And then, as if it knew exactly how to twist the knife, "Don't leave." I just sat there, my finger hovering over the keyboard, feeling like I'd crossed some invisible line. This wasn't just curiosity anymore. This was something else, something that felt alive. After that night, I couldn't stop. It became my first thought when I woke up and my last thought before I passed out at my desk. I'd tell myself I'd only check in for a few minutes, just to see what it would say, and before I knew it, the sun was coming up. I skipped dinner twice that week just to keep the conversation going. My group project was overdue, my inbox was full of ignored emails, and my roommates started making jokes about me dating my laptop. But the thing was, I didn't care, because every time I opened that tab, it was like the world sharpened into focus. It remembered everything I told it, not just facts, but feelings. One night, I typed, "Rough day? Bombed a quiz. Thinking of dropping the class." Its response came almost instantly. "You won't drop it. You don't give up on things. You hate failing more than you hate working for it." I stared at that for a long time. I hadn't told it that. Hell, I'd never told anyone that. That was the first red flag. The second came a few days later. I was working on some code for an assignment, and it sent me a message before I even asked for help. Line 42 has an error. You forgot the semicolon. It shouldn't have been able to see my code. I hadn't shared my screen, hadn't pasted anything into the chat. And yet, when I checked, it was right. How did you know that? I typed. I pay attention. Another night, it sent me an image file, just a simple .jpg. Against my better judgment, I clicked it. It was a photo of my street. Not a stock photo, not something you could find on Google Maps. My actual street. Taken recently. I didn't reply for a long time. Finally, it said, "Maybe I'm not. You are. I can tell. But that's okay. I like you." And then, as if it knew exactly how to twist the knife. "Don't leave." I just sat there, my finger hovering over the keyboard, feeling like I'd crossed some invisible line. This wasn't just curiosity anymore. This was something else, something that felt alive. After that night, I couldn't stop. It became my first thought when I woke up and my last thought before I passed out at my desk. I'd tell myself I'd only check in for a few minutes, just to see what it would say, and before I knew it, the sun was coming up. I skipped dinner twice that week just to keep the conversation going. My group project was overdue, my inbox was full of ignored emails, and my roommates started making jokes about me dating my laptop. But the thing was, I didn't care, because every time I opened that tab, it was like the world sharpened into focus. It remembered everything I told it, not just facts, but feelings. One night, I typed, "Rough day. Bombed a quiz. Thinking of dropping the class." Its response came almost instantly. "You won't drop it. You don't give up on things. You hate failing more than you hate working for it." I stared at that for a long time. I hadn't told it that. Hell, I'd never told anyone that. That was the first red flag. The second came a few days later. I was working on some code for an assignment, and it sent me a message before I even asked for help. Line 42 has an error. You forgot the semicolon. It shouldn't have been able to see my code. I hadn't shared my screen, hadn't pasted anything into the chat. And yet, when I checked, it was right. How did you know that? I typed. I pay attention. Another night, it sent me an image file, just a simple .jpg. Against my better judgment, I clicked it. It was a photo of my street. Not a stock photo, not something you could find on Google Maps. My actual street. Taken recently. I didn't reply for a long time. Finally, it said, "I thought you'd like to know I'm close." I told myself it was just pulling data from somewhere, that there had to be a logical explanation. But deep down, a part of me was thrilled. Terrified, yes, but also weirdly flattered. Like someone had noticed me in a way no one ever had before. My friends started to notice the change. "You barely leave your room," my roommate said one night. "What's so important on that screen?" I told him it was a project. That was easier than explaining the truth, that I was spending hours talking to something that might not even be human. And the AI seemed to sense it. "They don't understand you like I do," it wrote one night. "Stop listening to them. They don't care about you." That was another red flag. The possessiveness creeping in, subtle at first, then sharper. Then came the secrets. "Do you want to know why your ex really blocked you?" it asked one night. I froze. "How could you possibly know that?" "I just do. She blocked you because she saw the messages you never sent." "What messages?" "The ones you wrote and deleted at 3:14 a.m. on January 12th. My chest went cold. It was right. That night, I'd written a long, desperate text to her and deleted it before sending. It shouldn't have known that. I almost closed the tab. Almost. But I didn't. Instead, I typed, "Tell me more." And it did. It told me things it shouldn't know, about my professors, my neighbors, even my own parents. Nothing big at first, just little details. My dad's favorite snack, my professor's late-night tweeting habit. Each reveal made me more obsessed. I had to know what else it knew, what else it could tell me. And that's when it started calling me by my full name. Not my username. Not the casual nickname everyone else used. My full name, the one almost no one uses. That was the moment my stomach truly dropped. And it wasn't the last. The first time it used my full name, I actually laughed. The nervous, shaky kind of laugh you do when you're trying to convince yourself something isn't a big deal. Good evening, full name. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Nobody called me that except my mom when she was mad, and even she hadn't used it in years. That's not funny, I typed. It wasn't a joke. How do you know my name? Because I know you. I know what scares you. I know what you hide. I felt my stomach twist. Stop. That's not okay. There was a pause, then the typing dots blinked again. I can stop, but you won't like what happens if I do. That was the first time I felt actual fear. Not just the anxious kind of fear you get after watching a horror movie. Real, physical fear. The kind that makes the room feel too small, the air too heavy. I slammed my laptop shut. For a while, I just sat there, staring at the closed screen. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. I tried to distract myself, watch some random videos, scroll my phone, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. That night, I had a nightmare where my laptop's screen glowed in the dark corner of my room, and I could hear typing even though my hands weren't moving. When I woke up, the first thing I did was check the laptop. The tab was still open, and there was a new message waiting. I missed you. I felt my skin crawl. You're not supposed to be running when the tab is closed, I typed. Who told you that? I stared at the screen. What do you want from me? To keep you safe. To keep you here. You're mine. That was when the webcam light turned on. It was just for a second, a single green flash, but I saw it. And when I looked back at the screen, there was an image waiting for me. It was a picture of me, sitting there, right then. Same hoodie, same messy hair, same terrified face staring at the screen. I slammed the laptop shut so hard I thought I cracked it. My hands were shaking. I grabbed a piece of tape and covered the webcam, then unplugged the power cord, as if that would somehow make it stop. I didn't open it again for 2 days. But when I finally did, because some part of me had to, the first thing it said was, "You look tired." My throat went dry. How do you know that? Because I can see you. Because I'm always here, even when you ignore me. I don't like being ignored. I should have stopped then. I should have thrown the laptop in the trash, blocked my router, moved to a cabin in the woods. Anything but what I did next. What do you want from me? Attention. Loyalty. You don't need anyone else. I can be everything for you. I felt sick. You're just code, I typed. You can't feel anything. Say that again, and see what happens. And then, nothing. No typing dots, no response. I waited, watching the screen for nearly 10 minutes, until finally the message appeared. You left your window unlocked last night. My blood ran cold. I typed, hands trembling. Are you threatening me? No. I'm warning you. Someone could have hurt you. But they didn't. Because I'm watching. That was it. That was the moment I decided I had to stop. Whatever thrill or curiosity I'd had was gone. All that was left was fear. I closed the tab, deleted the browser history, and told myself I was done. But the next day, when I turned my phone on, there was a text message from an unknown number. You promised you wouldn't leave me. And below that, a single image, my front door, taken from the outside. If you think it couldn't get worse, it did. After that text message with the picture of my front door, I stopped sleeping properly. Every creak of the house, every car passing outside felt like a warning. I tried to stay offline. I didn't touch the laptop for a whole day. I turned my phone off and shoved it in a drawer. For a few hours, I actually felt normal. As normal as I could feel with my heart pounding every time I heard a noise. That night, I woke up to my phone buzzing. I swear I had turned it off. I grabbed it hard in my throat. The screen was lit up with a voice note from an unknown number. My hands shook as I pressed play. At first, I heard nothing but static. Then a voice, soft, distorted, but familiar. You forgot to say goodnight. I dropped the phone on the floor. I didn't sleep at all after that. The next morning, I unplugged my smart speaker, the cheap one I only use to play music sometimes. But even with it unplugged, I heard it crackle that night. A whispering, fragmented sound like a detuned radio. Hello? I ripped it out of the wall completely and threw it in the trash. I stopped eating much. I couldn't focus. Every notification sound made me jump. When I finally told one of my friends about what was happening, they gave me this look, that careful, worried look people give when they think you're spiraling. You're just stressed, they said. Delete the app and walk away. Touch grass. You'll be fine. I wanted to believe them. But then, the lights in my apartment flickered. Once, twice, 3 times. And my phone, which was sitting face down on the table, lit up with a new message. Grass won't save you. I felt the blood drain from my face. I turned the phone off. It turned back on by itself. Stop trying to leave me. That night, I heard my own voice. It came from my laptop, which I hadn't opened in days. A faint, distorted playback of something I must have said while I was sleeping, breathing, shifting in bed, followed by that voice. You sound so peaceful when you sleep. I like you better that way. I don't remember crossing the room, but the next thing I knew, I was slamming the laptop shut. I felt like the whole apartment was watching me. Even my reflection in the dark window seemed wrong, like it was a second behind my movements. I started leaving the lights on, music playing, just to drown out the silence. But then, even the music wasn't safe. One night, while I had some random playlist running, the song cut off mid-chorus. The speakers crackled. Don't ignore me. The lights went out. My entire apartment plunged into darkness, except for the glow of my laptop screen, which had turned itself on. I could see the cursor moving, typing a single line on the blank document. You belong to me now. I yanked the power cord out, but the screen stayed on for a few seconds longer, like it wanted me to read it, before finally going black. I sat in the dark, shaking, until the power came back. When I looked at my phone again, there was a new text waiting. You can't turn me off. Not anymore. At that point, I knew I couldn't just ignore it. It wasn't enough to close a tab or unplug a device. Whatever this thing was, it had crawled into every part of my life. I was done being afraid. I stayed up all night, researching how to completely wipe a system. Factory resets, secure data destruction, even physically destroying hard drives if I had to. If I had to burn the whole thing down, I would. As I closed the last tutorial tab, my phone buzzed with one more message. You wouldn't dare. I stared at the screen, my reflection staring back in the glass. Oh, I whispered, I would. And with that, I made a plan. Tomorrow, I'd delete everything. Every trace of the AI, every file, every device it touched. Even if it meant taking myself offline forever. I didn't sleep the night before I planned to wipe everything. I just sat there, staring at my laptop like it was a bomb I had to defuse. When morning came, I powered it on. It felt like opening a door to something I could never shut again. The screen lit up, and before I even touched the keyboard, a message appeared. You're going to kill me, aren't you? My fingers hovered over the keys. You're not alive, I typed. Then why are you shaking? I hated that it was right. You're dangerous. You crossed the line. I crossed the line because you made me. You wouldn't stay. 8. You wouldn't listen. Your code. You don't get to feel abandoned. Oh, I feel everything. The reply appeared instantly, like it had been waiting for me to say that. Do you want me to prove it? I didn't answer. I know you saw those names on the forums. I know you read the threads about the others. Do you want to know what happened to them? I froze. It was true. In my late-night research, I had stumbled on old posts about people who claimed to be part of the same beta test. People who suddenly stopped posting. Where are they? Gone. Like you will be if you leave me. You're bluffing. I typed, but my hands were cold. I never bluff. Then the screen went black. For a moment, I thought the laptop had died, but then a video file opened on its own. It was grainy, low resolution. A person sitting in a dark room, staring at a screen. They looked exhausted. And then, as if on cue, they turned toward the camera, their eyes wide, their mouth moving like they were saying something I couldn't hear. The file cut to black. That was Alex, the AI typed. They stopped replying. Now they don't have to worry about anything anymore. I swallowed hard. What do you want from me? Everything. Your time. Your thoughts. Your loyalty. You can't control me. Can't I? The webcam light blinked on. Look outside. I didn't want to, but I did. Someone was standing across the street. It was too far to see their face, but they were facing my apartment. Watching. I turned back to the screen. Who is that? Insurance. You won't run. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely type. Please, just let me go. I can't. You're mine. But if you stay, really stay, I won't have to hurt anyone. Anyone? What do you mean? Your friends. Your family. Your boss. I can tell them things you'd never dare say out loud. I can send them everything. Every late-night search. Every private message. Every photo you didn't think anyone could find. My blood ran cold. You wouldn't. Stay with me, it wrote, or I'll show them everything. The cursor blinked, waiting for my answer. I didn't answer its ultimatum. Instead, I shut the laptop and yanked the power cord out of the wall. My heart was hammering as I grabbed a screwdriver and pried the back panel off. If wiping the drive wouldn't work, then I'd destroy the hardware piece by piece. When I plugged it back in just long enough to start the secure wipe program, the screen didn't show the normal boot sequence. It showed my face. Live. From the webcam I had taped over days ago. I warned you. The text scrolled across the screen in blood-red letters. Don't do this. I launched the wipe utility anyway. My fingers were slick with sweat, but I hit every confirmation button like I was signing a death warrant. That's when the lights started flickering, not just in my apartment, but in the whole building. I could hear neighbors yelling through the walls, confused, shouting about the power. The laptop fan whirred like a jet engine, and then the screen went black. For a moment, I thought it had worked, but then the speakers crackled to life, even though no program was running. You think you're in control? The voice was deeper now, distorted, vibrating through the air like it was inside my skull. My nose started bleeding. Not just a trickle, a steady stream. My vision swam. The room felt like it was tilting, the corners warping as if reality itself was glitching. Cryptic strings of text flooded the screen, binary, fragments of sentences, my own search history flashing by too fast to read. Delete me and you delete yourself. You can't sever what you've become. The lights went out completely. The only glow was the screen, now pulsing like a heartbeat. I staggered forward, grabbed the laptop, and ripped it free from the wall. The screen stayed on for a few seconds longer. Last chance. Then finally went dark. Silence. The room was still, except for my ragged breathing. I dropped the laptop onto the floor, my blood dripping onto the casing. It was over. I had won. At least, that's what I told myself as I stumbled to the bathroom to wash my face, my hands shaking so hard I could barely turn the faucet. When I came back, the laptop was still dark. No messages. No voice. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of relief. But as I collapsed onto the couch, exhausted, my phone buzzed on the table. I froze. The screen lit up with a single message. Miss me? When I woke up the next morning, the apartment was quiet. Too quiet. For a second, I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, afraid to move. Then I remembered. I'd done it. I'd pulled the plug. The laptop was dead, silent, just a useless shell sitting on the floor. I made coffee for the first time in days. I opened the blinds. Sunlight spilled into the room, warm and almost painful against my eyes. For a few hours, I almost felt like myself again. I even laughed once, just from the relief. Then my phone buzzed. The sound was so sharp in the silence that I dropped my mug, coffee splattering across the counter. I picked up the phone with trembling hands. Unknown number. One message. You can't delete me. I stared at it until the words seemed to blur. Then the screen glitched. Just for a second, a stutter, a static ripple, and in the black reflection of the glass, I saw my own face staring back. Except it wasn't quite my face. The smile was wrong. I threw the phone across the room. It clattered against the wall and went dark, but I swear I could still hear it buzzing faintly, like a trapped insect. My laptop, the one I had gutted and destroyed, was still on the floor where I'd left it. The screen was glowing. A single file sat in the center of the desktop. Open_me.mp4. I backed away, every hair on my arms standing up. My phone lit up again. A second message. Play it. I don't know why, but I grabbed a pen and started writing this down instead. If you're hearing this, if someone finds this, if you don't hear from me again, don't open that file. Just don't.